What's going on, everyone? Joe here, back with some Jar Jar jargon, and today we are talking final predictions for The Mandalorian Season 3 finale. First things first, I do want to thank all of you that have subscribed over the past couple days and catapulted me well over 300 subscribers. Looks like we're nearing 400 and hoping we can inch towards 1,000, which is kind of the big milestone for this channel. So let's get right into it. We know the episode is going to be around 39 or 40 minutes long. I do believe the episode is going to launch us directly into the action as we left off on a pretty big cliffhanger on episode 7. So Bo-Katan and the rest of her crew have escaped the Imperial kind of stronghold that they got there underneath Mandalore, and we're probably going to figure out what they're up to now. I believe we're going to see Axe Woves pretty quickly after that. There's no way that his jetpack was able to get him back to the fleet in orbit. That doesn't really make a lot of sense, as we know the jetpacks run out of fuel. So I'm assuming he's going to have some sort of confrontation with them. And like I said in my other video, I do think he's the spy. So it's pretty obvious that something is going to happen between them. Now, the fleet itself, we know is going to be bombarded by TIE bombers and TIE interceptors as Gideon launched them at the end of episode 7. So there's going to be some sort of epic space battle happening kind of above the planet, and there's going to be some battle happening on the ground. And I think that is really the important one to figure out if they're going to be able to save Din Djarin or not. And we know Din Djarin was taken to some sort of interrogation room, and I believe we're going to see some sort of confrontation between him and Gideon, where Gideon removes his helmet. I do think we're going to see Pedro Pascal. It's kind of a tradition now in The Mandalorian to see his face in the last episode of the season. So I think there's going to be some sort of confrontation. I'm not really sure why Gideon wants him in there, if he wants maybe his blood for cloning purposes, or if he wants to hook him up to a mind flayer or something along those lines. So it's going to be really interesting to see kind of that interaction between Gideon and Din, but I definitely think that's going to happen, and I definitely think we're going to see Pedro Pascal's face. Now, of course, they're going to want to save Din Djarin. At least Bo-Katan and Grogu will be very motivated to do so. And I think they are going to be the ones who do that. And I actually think we're going to see Grogu use the Force. We haven't seen him use it really since the second episode, pretty much, of the season. So I think we're going to see him use the Force and kind of just push his way through the Beskar troopers to get to Din Djarin and hopefully save him. We could potentially see a scene where Grogu is fighting the Praetorian Guards. Maybe Bo-Katan is fighting them with him. Now, I don't think Bo-Katan's going to get killed. I know that's kind of a popular theory as well. You know, I don't see that happening, but I do think the Praetorian Guards are probably going to take out some other Mandalorians. Not really sure who yet. Haven't really thought too much about that, but there's a lot of theories going around that Boba Fett could show up, and if he shows up, he could play a key role in saving Din as well and helping Grogu get to him. And maybe Boba Fett takes on those Praetorian Guards. That would be actually really awesome to see, especially if he kicked their asses like we know he's capable of, and like we didn't really get to see in the Book of Boba Fett. So after rescuing Din, I think we are going to see the Mythosaur, and this could be kind of a turn in the tide in the war between the Mandalorians and the Imperials, especially if the Imperials seem to be gaining an upper hand. We could see the Mythosaur kind of bust out from under the ground and cause some sort of disturbance in the battle, maybe turning the tide in favor of the Mandalorians, especially if Grogu is able to tame the Mythosaur. And the reason I think Grogu is going to be able to tame the Mythosaur is because he was the one who was able to tame the Rancor in the Book of Boba Fett. He obviously also had that scene with the Mudhorn in season 1, and he has some sort of special connection with animals, it looks like, similar to how Ezra does. Of course, he had the scene with the Purrgil in episode 1 of season 3 as well. So I think we're going to see him at least tame the Mythosaur. Now, if anyone rides it, is kind of up for debate. A lot of people think it's going to be Bo-Katan. Some people think Din Djarin. I'm not really personally sure that anyone's going to be riding the Mythosaur, but seeing it tamed and on Mandalore again is going to be kind of a spiritual awakening for a lot of the Mandalorians, and kind of a sign that they need to come back to the planet and retake the planet. I think the armor is also going to be kind of a key role in retaking Mandalore. Now, we know that she flew back up to the fleet in episode 7, so she could be possibly commanding the fleet in the space battle that's going to be happening. I think we're in for a surprise of some sort, and like I said, that could be Boba Fett, but it also could be the New Republic showing up, and some people have speculated that Thrawn's fleet would show up and kind of take over the battle for Gideon and basically actually put it into Gideon right there at the Battle of Mandalore. I don't think Thrawn himself is going to show up at the battle. And the reason is because from everything we know about Ahsoka, he's still in the unknown regions or in this new beyond that exists. So he hasn't really come back to the core galaxy as of yet. That being said, I think Gideon will fail to hold Mandalore, and that will have negative repercussions on him. So I'm imagining some sort of ending scene or maybe post-credit scene where he is addressing the Shadow Council, and as he said, Thrawn never shows up. Well, I think Thrawn is going to show up in the form of a hologram, and he possibly will have the Praetorian Guards or remaining Praetorian Guards kill Gideon. I do think we're going to see the end of Gideon in this episode, and that kind of paves the way for Thrawn to come into the core galaxy after Ahsoka and be the new big bad in the Mandalorian era shows. And the last thing I think we're going to see, like I talked about in my previous video, is Din Djarin going back to Plazir 15 and asking Jack Black's character, Captain Bombardier, for help with rebuilding the cities on Mandalore. We know that he already has experience with building those dome-like structures that are so common on Mandalore, so I think we're going to see that scene. And like I showed in that other video, there's a leaked clip from Celebration last year that appears to be the N1 starfighter leaving Plazir 15, and we haven't seen that clip yet. It's the only thing we haven't seen from those trailers, so I think we're going to see that as well. But that's pretty much my full predictions for the episode. There could be maybe one or two more crazy surprises that we're just not expecting yet. Possibly Sabine shows up or the rest of the Ghost crew to help. Not really sure how they would make sense of that though, unless R5 sent out some kind of signal to the New Republic. And we know Hera's kind of working with the New Republic, so is Zeb. So maybe that's the way they could work them into that. But we're going to have to wait and see. Should be a really exciting week. Really looking forward to the final episode and, paving the way towards Ahsoka, which looks to be an awesome show. So that's all I got for today. If you did enjoy the video, please do hit like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.
Lolo Vanu Matafa.